Hi everybody, today we're going to be talking about lesson 68, order of operations with exponents. So before we begin, I want to take a quick review of PEMDAS. Okay, with PEMDAS, up to now we've really used everything except the E here. Okay, we've used parentheses, we've used multiplication, we've used division, we've used addition, and we've used subtraction. The E, however, is exponents. So when we order, or when we're using order of operations, we always start with parentheses and solve whatever in the parentheses first. Then we move on to exponents, and this is the first time we're having those. Then you multiply and divide left to right, and then you do addition and subtraction left to right. Okay? So let's go ahead and take a look at example number 1. So I'm going to rewrite the problem first. 55 minus 4 squared times 3. So I don't have any parentheses, so we're going to check that off. Now I go to exponents. So I'm going to solve the exponent piece first. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to rewrite the problem. 55 minus, and I'm going to do the 4 squared. 4 times 4 is 16. And then finish writing the rest of the problem, times 3. Okay, so I've done my exponents. Now I'm going to look at multiplying and dividing. I see I have a multiplication problem here, so this piece comes next. 16 times 3. And feel free to show your work off to the side. That's totally fine. 18, 3, 4. Okay, so 16 times 3 is 48. And then rewrite the rest of the problem. 55 minus, and 55 minus 48, borrow, 15 minus 8 is 7, So I did there were no parentheses, I did my exponents, then I multiplied, there was no division, there was no subtraction, and then I subtracted. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's look at example 2. Okay, example 2. Remember, we're going to use PEMDAS. So just to remind me, I'm going to write it over here. Feel free to write it just once somewhere on your paper, just so you can remember. So I rewrite the problem. 12 minus 8 plus 2 cubed, or 2 to the 3rd power, times the square root of 25. Okay, well, first we do the parentheses. 12 minus 8 is 4. I only want you to do one step at a time. Do not try and do multiple steps in one line. Do one thing at a time. So 4, and rewrite the rest of the problem, plus 2 cubed times the square root of 25. So there are my parentheses. Then I'm going to go to my exponents. Both 2 cubed and the square root of 25 count as exponents, but I'm only going to do one at a time. So I'm going to start with 2 cubed because I work left to right. So 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. So 4 plus 8 times the square root of 25. Now I can solve the square root of 25, which is 5, and I rewrite the rest. 4 plus 8 times 5. Okay, so my exponents are now done. Now I'm going to multiply. 8 times 5 is 40. Rewrite the rest, and 4 plus 40 is 44. Yes, this does take a lot of space, but you do need to do it step by step by step. It should look like this upside down pyramid or a V as you go from the full problem and you narrow it down to just your answer. Okay, let's look at example 3. Okay, evaluate 9 squared minus 3a when a equals 10. So just to review, I'm going to write my PEMDAS over here because mine got erased. And I start with the original problem. 9 squared minus 3a, and then leaving a space, a equals 10. So now I'm going to rewrite the problem, substituting 10 for a. 9 squared minus 3. And now since this is a multiplication, I'm going to put the 10 in parentheses to indicate that this is still multiplication. Not 310, but 3 times 10. Okay, now I can solve for my PEMDAS. So parentheses, this really doesn't count as parentheses because in this instance it counts as multiplication. Okay, so I'm going to start with my exponents. 9 squared, 9 times 9 is 81, minus 3 times 10. Now I can solve my multiplication. 81 minus 30, and 81 minus 30 is 51. Okay, so substitute first, then solve your exponents, then multiply, subtract, and you have your answer. Okay, one more example. Show 2 ways to evaluate m 5 times m plus n when m equals 7 and n equals 2. Okay, so we have 2 ways to do this today. We're going to start with PEMDAS. Yes. Okay, and I'm going to start by writing my problem. 5 times m plus n, m equals 7, n equals 2. Okay, and spread these out a little bit. We don't need them crammed together. Okay, if you get these too close and it looks like 7n, then it's going to look like m equals 7 times n, which is not the case. 2 separate problems here. So now I'm going to go ahead and substitute 5 times 7 plus 2. You can make the substitutions in the same step. That's fine. Now I'm going to add PEMDAS, order of operations. I do my parentheses first. 5 times 9, and we have 45. The other way to do this is using the distributive property. Okay, so 5 times m plus n, 5 times 7 plus 2, and now we distribute this 5. So far the first 2 steps are the same, and here's where we differ. 5 times 7 plus 5 times 2. So we're getting into the distributive property here. We're taking this 5 and distributing it within the parentheses. 5 times 7 is 35, plus 5 times 2 is 10. Add them together and you have 45. Okay, these answers should match. If they don't, you need to do the problem again because something went wrong. Okay, that's it for tonight. Off to your lesson practice, and I will see you in the morning.